My goodness, it is great to be here on Denver After Dark. And I apologize. I know you're used to the beautiful lighting, my silky voice coming over my mic. So this is the mic I actually use, the Shure mic. Sure, I don't know. It's a really nice one though. What happened was my computer wouldn't boot up. I have a great computer. I can even I've been moving things around here, guys. So, but you see, this is all my studio stuff right here. But that freaking computer wouldn't turn on. And I'm pretty smart, man. I know how to use like on off buttons, and I know how to hook up other computers. But when you're looking at this little Intel laptop I have, which has a lot of memory, the thing is that the adapters are a little different from my other laptops. So I have two brand new laptops here. I also have work laptops. As you guys know, I have AI companies. I'm a tech CEO, for God's sakes. But so I had to go to my iPhone because there's so many adapters in our studio here. It's just unbelievable. So no, it's great to be back. It's great to see everybody. I know it's been a while. I know I did a little Denver After Dark that went a little nuts on phone not too long ago. So we got YouTube up. We have Substack up. Thank goodness Doug is in the game here because I'm back. It's been 5 weeks, guys. I think 5 weeks. I've missed y'all. I really have. But there's times in a man's life, and a woman's for that matter, when after traveling the world and seeing the globe, after being in Ukraine and Poland and Moldova and UAE and London. I just gave a speech in London not too long ago on drone warfare, and I have to go back. Like I leave for Houston Tuesday. I'll be going back to UAE sometime in January, probably back to Ukraine in March. I think I got another trip to London. So it's been one of those things where with my AI company and my distilleries, we're thinking about opening a third distillery in Pennsylvania. So I've been looking at real estate there for my wife. She's the CEO of the distillery. So we're looking at that expansion. What does that look like? Um, the money that goes into that. So all of this has been happening the last 5 weeks. And I'm on the Abigail Spanberger transition team, the governor elect of Virginia. They want me to do some things, and and I've been asked to do some crazy stuff. I don't want to take away thunder there, but a lot of people are asking me to run for office, and I've been asked to run for three separate offices. So I've been sort of maneuvering through that minefield, which I'd almost rather self-immolate than run for office again. But so here we are. I don't, I know the awesome loyal people are here. We'll see if everybody gets excited again and gets back on here, and I hope they do. But I want to tell a story about ESPN. Now, I know it sounds crazy. So when I did my first Bigfoot expedition in 2004, it got out that I was part of NSA. Now, you got to remember, at 34, I was 34 years old in 2004. I still had sort of brown hair. Um, I don't think my voice was that different. It might be a little bit higher. I don't know. I don't know. But 2004, it was the Olympic National Forest. We went to the Hoh Rainforest. I stayed at the Kalaloch Lodge. Um, had an incredible time. Ian goes, everybody knows that's where I got, I know 5 weeks it is. Just tell us the story about your travels. I am. I'll tell you a story. I'm going to tell you some stories. It's good to be back. So here I was, 2004, I'm in the Hoh Rainforest, and that it got out I was part of National Security Agency. Ho ho. So everybody thought I was spying on them. They thought I was part of a secret op to expose them. And then I was there to track them to make sure they couldn't find Bigfoot. Now, when you talk about layers of conspiracy theories and Dunning-Kruger effect, which is really, and by the way, Dunning-Kruger has two parts to it. It's those who are very ignorant who think they're a lot smarter, and those who are very smart don't think they're as smart, and they can be a little meek in their opinions. So go look up the Dunning-Kruger effect, which I think Congress is actually the exemplar of the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm going to get into that. So what happened was one of the people on the expedition uh, was a very rich individual, but he was also friends with an outdoor writer named Don Barone from ESPN Outdoors. So I get a call. it's I'm going to this 2005 expedition in West Virginia, right near the Monongahela National Forest on I think the Greenbrier River, and I know West Virginia pretty well. So this ESPN reporter calls me and says, "Hey, I want to go on this West Virginia expedition." So we go on this West Virginia expedition. It's crazy, right? It's, if anybody read Bigfoot is Complicated, Spinner was my buddy, Michigan State cop there. We mimicked Bigfoot noises. We made people get crazy, and we scared a bunch of New York hunters by throwing a rock in the woods. We said that Bigfoot liked to throw rocks at people. Yeah, I know. I was very mature at the age of 35. So anyhow, by 2006, Don Barone and I got together and said, let's do our own expedition and invite some of these folks, right? So we invited like the Bigfoot Whisperer. She was a person who thought that if you sung nursery rhymes in the woods, it would attract Bigfoots, mostly male. She thought that females were the ones that actually attracted Bigfoots more than males. I think that was a little sexist, but I think, what she thought was, certain times in a woman's life that Bigfoots would be more attracted to them. And I don't want to go about the monthly thing where she had this theory. So I went ahead and invited those individuals, her boyfriend. But we also invited another group of people who thought that Bigfoot might have been interdimensional. Hey, you need to read my book, guys. And listen, you don't have to buy it. You know what I'm going to do one day? We're going to do a show. I was thinking about getting a Paramount Theater, and I'll invite everybody, and I'll just give out Bigfoot books, and we'll have a great time. So we did this Adirondacks trip, and we're staying at this hotel. And we get this phone call. We gave our number out to a bunch of Bigfoot enthusiasts so they could call us if they had any Bigfoot sightings. And we rent this big house, and and I had these suggestions about the fact that you can bake Bigfoot. I think we should all wear bacon necklaces. So I go out and buy bacon, and I have topo maps, right? I have jogs, JOGs 1 to 250,000, right? I used to be a mission planner in the Air Force, so we look at all the places. We go around and talk to people and say, "Where did you see Bigfoot?" So one evening, we're at this hotel, and we get a phone call like, "Hey, there's this guy in a white van coming to see you." I swear, guys, listen, I don't exaggerate. I'm not Marjorie Taylor Greene. I am not Marjorie Taylor Greene. But so what I want to tell you guys though is that, and by the way, you guys probably tell where I'm going with this. This guy said he needed to meet with us because he had multiple pictures of multiple Bigfoots. Are you guys absorbing what I'm telling you right now? Of course, Don Barone and I are absolutely enthralled with this. We're like, oh my God, this guy's multiple pictures of Bigfoots. Oh, we got to see this. So anyhow, this guy drives up, he comes up, knocks on the door. We go out there, and this is this guy with a big beard. He comes out to the van, he opens the van door, and there's like 3 hippie girls in this van. I, I mean, this is too screwed up to be made up, everybody. So anyway, so these girls are in the van, but he said, I have all these pictures. So he brings out these pictures, and he has multiple pictures of what he said are Bigfoots in smoke. He called them smokefoots. So we're looking at these smokefoots and looking at all these pictures and stuff, and I'm thinking, this is pretty interesting. He goes, we need to go out in the woods. Now, me and Don were a little bit worried about that, but we got into the woods with this guy, right? So we're creeping through the woods, right? Looking for these smokefoots, and he's blowing smoke into the air and saying, if you take a picture when you blow cigar smoke or cigarette smoke, he had a smoke machine, it shows the interdimensional portals of where Bigfoot actually emerges because the smoke breaks down the interdimensional portals where Bigfoot sneaks through, the little portals. Now, this is hard to believe, for me, but they break apart these little portals, and here we go. So he's showing us all these pictures, and I'm like, well, where do you live? Like, where are these pictures taken? There's one in the back of my house in the woods, and wherever I'm at. I said, well, where's your house? This is my van. Oh, he lived in his van. This is literally again. He's living in a van down by the river, right? And he's taking pictures of whatever woods he's in, and he's looking at these dimensional Bigfoots coming through the portals. Now, it's like looking at clouds, or Jesus in a grilled cheese, or Jesus in wood paneling, or aliens in the sky, or a cloud that looks like a Zeta Reticulum. You could see anything in the smoke. So I asked him, I said, well, you see it's a Bigfoot. I said, I see a dragon. The issue that you have with people, right, is first of all, this exaggeration complex, but also this inability to even see beyond their own conspiratorial myth making. So, and that's a crazy thing to me. Um, and when we're talking about this conspiratorial myth making, and when I asked him, I said, "Well, could it be other things?" He goes, "That's not what research shows you. It's absolutely impossible to be something else. I mean, these are Bigfoots coming out of the smoke. I mean, you can see the Bigfoot coming out of the smoke. Can't you see it, Den? Can't you see it?" And I know they speak to me. Oh, now I've obviously been put in my place. So not only do these Bigfoots come through these smoke-induced vapors, and I know what everybody's thinking out there because I know you're thinking Mary Jane, and I think you're right. I think there was a lot of marijuana use or things laced in it when he's blowing this smoke up into the woods. I do know a lot of these people, and I apologize as you see that. But you got to remember, I did this for years when I was trying to look at how could people believe this type of cult behavior. I mean, how could the first thing in the woods that you hear be a Bigfoot and not a squirrel? I got so many stories to tell you guys around a campfire, drinking whiskey, roasting marshmallows, roasting wieners, right? Making burgers on the side, right? No gummies, no gummies, Tim. So, so we're doing this type of stuff. No matter what I said, he would go back to this sort of exaggerated existence, things that happen to him but are almost impossible to prove, things that for any normal sane person, that's an extraordinary claim that needs extraordinary evidence. So I'm watching 60 Minutes and I'm watching Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I'm like, oh my goodness, right? I'm actually watching the Smokefoot guy. Now you're saying, Tim, this is pretty brutal. I mean, you're actually making this comparison between Marjorie Taylor Greene sitting with Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes and a guy who lived in a van with three other hippies who would blow pot smoke or cigarette smoke or cigar smoke or a smoke machine into the woods and take pictures of Bigfoots coming through portals. Same people. It's the same people. The same people that stormed the Capitol on January 6th are the same people who are believers in interdimensional Bigfoots or Smokefoots. Same people. You're like, God, that's harsh, Dad. We don't know if there was actually a siege on the United States Capitol because they thought Smokefoots were actually interdimensionally appearing in the Chamber of Congress. I understand. But once you believe in one, you believe in another. But you also have this exaggerated posture, almost this ability to, for your ignorance, this critical ignorance, to create arrogance on a level that's very hard to get your arms around. And when I'm watching Marjorie Taylor Greene with Leslie Stahl, I was reminded of the bearded guy in the white van and his three hippie girlfriends. And the fact that they had the actual, think about this, the hubris, the presumptuous nature that ESPN Outdoors with Denver Riggleman from NSA is somebody they should go talk about with Polaroids that they had of Bigfoots coming out of smoke. Marjorie Taylor Greene is the Polaroid taken Bigfoot smoke catcher. And I want to give you an example of why Dunning-Kruger, I think, is now an STD. I've been thinking about this, right? Dunning-Kruger effect. We talked about it. I honestly believe now it's probably passed by bodily fluids. It probably mutated with Mar-a-Lago as ground zero. I think ignorance has somehow become an STD, or it's become some kind of airborne disease. It's only in certain types of environments. And I know I'm sort of saying this well, obviously I'm saying it tongue in cheek. I don't know if stupidity is passed through bodily fluids. I guess it could be. I mean, yeah, there's some STDs that cause brain damage, obviously. Syphilis, gonorrhea. So hey, when Leslie Stahl challenged her about her pushing that toxicity out into the environment, and she was talking about death threats that she was getting, and that's what I'm getting to. And she said, "Well, you're just as culpable," talking back to the media. Yeah, that's not true. That's the "you're the rubber, I'm the glue" argument. Now, this is an elected official. not media. And this is somebody who wished for Pelosi's death, somebody who was the instigator for death threats on people like me. And by the way, we have CBS, that's now a Barry Weiss production, which you might as well just call it Fox Light or Fox Heavy. You have this incredible thing happening where CBS is platforming more and more people that actually are enveloped in Dunning-Kruger, that some of the dumbest people on the planet. And not only are they conspiratorial minded, but now they're all of a sudden seeing the light because she's out of the box now. She's gone. She's on the outs and she's looking for a new grift. And that grift is what she thinks is pretending to be sane somehow, but she can't get away from the exaggerated effects of Dunning-Kruger and conspiratorial minded credulity. Why? Because she's talking about all the death threats she's getting, and she called Trump about a death threat she got. Every congressional member gets death threats, Republican and Democrat. Just so happened, I got thousands of them after I did the QAnon. If you guys remember this, back in 2020, the QAnon resolution with Tom Malinowski out of New Jersey. Tom Malinowski was told he was a pedophile. I was told I was going to be hanged for being a traitor. Thousands of death threats. And you don't see me out here bemoaning. It scared me. I've never seen so much cowardice, but it's just this exaggerated look at her life, like somehow she's a victim of something awful that Donald Trump did because she was somehow the Epstein files, right? She came out and these poor girls. This is the same person who's a QAnon junkie. Oh, I got angry. Why am I angry? Anger, it almost gets to a point when you have Leslie Stahl like going back and forth, like, well, it was you. No, it was you. No, it was you. Now you say, listen, this is the year of the rubber, I'm the glue. You're an elected official, and you said January 6th was stolen. And the night of January 5th, you're doing a video. It was actually your stochastic terrorism, your radicalizing comments that was part of the whole envelope of stupid that sieged the Capitol on January 6th. It was your stupidity, your brain dead ridiculousness. That's what a reporter needs to say. If people can't intellectually punch somebody in the throat, if you're not going to do that, you don't need to be on camera. And yeah, you want access. You want to be able to go in their house. But that's BS. And then you have the Dunning-Kruger acolytes and the bots and foreign misinformation and foreign disinformation coming out and supporting Marjorie Taylor Greene's take against Leslie Stahl. Yeah, you see, the media was just as they were just as complicit. Not true. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene of the world. You have the Benny Johnsons of the world. You have the Christy Gnomes of the world. You have the Lauren Boeberts of the world. You have the Nancy Masons of the world. You have the Joe Rogans of the world. All these individuals who cannot parse between what's real and what's fake, or they're just being cynical grifters, or a combination thereof. There is no other explanation. And when you see somebody exaggerate their threat level based on the very things that they did, and then you see a reporter not able to react to that, I absolutely, my mind explodes because there's a simple explanation. There's a simple way to attack these individuals. And it's simply this. You're complicit. You might think that I'm part of the issue, but you provably were. And the first thing I would say is, you said January 6th was stolen. Where was I part of the problem with the spread of disinformation and death threats? Go. Can't answer it. She would stumble, bumble her way around because it gets in the way. And here's the issue. She does not have the mental dynamicism, the mental flexibility to react to any type of attack that's source or fact based. I sound like a professor right now, but I am a professor. I have studied stupidity and cults and conspiracy theories. I've looked at Al Qaeda and I've looked at ISIS. I've looked at the Taliban. I've looked at digital radicalization as far back as the early 2000s. My original business partner was part of the Al Qaeda senior leadership tracking team when they were looking at radicalization. When Al Qaeda and some of these other organizations from Iraq to Iran to Afghanistan were starting to use digital methodologies in order to coerce individuals or radicalize individuals into doing things. But when you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and you look at what she's doing, I get to a point where, as I'm talking to everybody 20 minutes in, I need all of you to go look at these threads. And I know you don't want to get on X, or you don't want to get on Blue Sky, you don't want to go on YouTube and look at the 60 Minutes report, but I need you. And I know it takes time out of your day. Guys, I promise you I understand. I promise you. I run a multi-million dollar AI company and a multi-million manufacturing distilling company. And I'm in media. And by the way, just got a book deal. Pretty excited about it. Just got an agent to do another book on Ukraine. I got a lot of things happening. But you have to know your enemy. And they are. Because stupidity is terminal. And if you can't be a facts-based, source-based person, you can't push back based on the fact that you know where their crazy lies, that's what you have to do. I love the comments popping up. Oh, AI. Let me tell you, I'm going to talk about AI here soon. We'll do a Denver After Dark midweek or Sunday night, and we'll go into AI, automation layers, what AGI is, where the fraud is going on, the self-licking ice cream cone. Although I saw the broligarchy, but really what it is just a grift. But we can talk about a lot of this because there's real goodness on AI, guys. There really is. But I digress. So you have Marjorie Taylor Greene saying this, and then I see Tom Cotton coming out, or I see some of these other senators coming out and not realizing somehow they missed that Donald Trump pardoned the Honduran president or Trump kingpin, and their lies and their gaslighting and their ridiculousness here. And then I want to let you guys know where that separation line is. Marjorie Taylor Greene, credulity, looking for another grift. Her stupid meter is pegged. On the other side is cynicism and cowards. They know better, but they're cowards. You know, I have the, Doug said it, we need our own soundboard. We actually do if I was on my computer and we were able to do some things. But I don't want to be an influencer like you guys are seeing. I'm having a tough time here, ladies and gentlemen, of the facts-based population. Is that everybody seems to have these, they want to capture your attention through, they create their own networks. They monetize every single portion of what they're doing. They have their free stack and their paid stack. I like some of these people. You have big networks like Midas that, like to do a lot of good stuff. They do some facts-based stuff, but a lot of hyperbole, right? You got to have thumbnails, where it's like, Trump killed by aliens. And so when I'm out here talking to you folks, and I know it's a very specific thing I usually do with a story that sort of blends into what we're seeing. And that story usually coming from cult behavior, right? Which you can sort of define the whole far right that way, which just is mind-boggling to me. Is that, what do you want? I don't want to monetize anything. I'm going to be running for office again, probably. I could be in Abigail Spanberger's cabinet while I'm running companies. I got to sign a million legal documents. I mean, do I really want to serve again, or do I want to self-immolate? But when I see something like Marjorie Taylor Greene there, my anger gets up, right? The hackles rise up on my back, right? I'm like, Urgh. Because I can't stand the fact that we're stuck with these type of individuals. I can't stand the fact that you're stuck with these type of individuals. And is it enough to have this hate and discontent about the people who choose, the narcissists and the sociopaths who choose to run? Am I the guy who says I can only run because I hate that they're sociopaths and narcissists that want to run? And why me? Why do I think I'm the guy to take on all these folks? Why did I run for Congress in the first place? Well, I was very upset about government overreach, but I was also upset about lobbying and money in politics and how it was destroying small businesses, regulatory overreach, especially here in Virginia. I was also angry that a big energy company could go in anybody's field without their permission and say, we're just going to run a pipeline through here. And the fact that it was intimidating rather than compromising or rather than team building. And I might have been okay with a pipeline, but if other people don't, they need to have a way to do this. And you have to be honest and transparent about why the company is doing what they're doing. When you found out it was a little bit nutty, I went against it. But those are one to one to one. Those are separate instances. There could be a pipeline in the future I might support based on the fact that it's done with transparency and with people support. Hell, we could talk about eminent domain all day long too. I've had that ride. I'm for it in instances and against it in some instances. But when I see Marjorie Taylor Greene, or I see some of these people saying the things that they're saying, you know, like people here in Virginia, John McGuire, right? Or when you're looking at some of the nutcases in the Freedom Caucus now, right? You still got this downflow of idiocy from the ghost stars and the bigs and all that. I know them. But when I see Marjorie Taylor Greene, I get angry. So is it enough just to run on anger? Probably. I think that is the thing. If you really do hate it. But does that make me as bad as everybody else? I don't think so. But I don't want to get caught up in that again. So part of it is trying to sort of protect my own sanity, my own mental well-being, as I'm running companies and trying to affect things from where I'm at right now, talking to you. And it goes back to, I just can't be an influencer. I just want to talk to folks. What is that even called? I'm like the anti-influencer. I'm the outfluencer. I don't want, Denver After Dark. Thank you, Doug, for the incredible idea. Right? This wasn't my idea. I mean, me and Doug talked about it. His wife really brought it to light, and I bought this off Etsy. Guys, it's a lighted digital board. That's Denver After Dark. The dad. The DAD, baby. Is that my thing? Is that my gig? I don't know. But I know I can't have Marjorie Taylor Greene helping you guys. I know that my IQ is above moron. I know that I've had a lot of cool things, right? I've done incredible things, like literally have. But I also know I don't know everything. It's impossible. How do you know everything? Right? How do you go out and you know for sure that deep state and globalists are hiding human children in the catacombs of the Congress, which is what a lot of people actually besieged the Capitol for on January 6th. It was sort of like Pizzagate on steroids. If anybody's, again, go look at Comet Ping Pong, go Comet Pizza. If everybody knows Pizzagate, I know I get into a lot of conspiracy theories and the threading on those conspiracy theories. Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I would humbly submit that 70% of the congressional members in the GOP believe this election was stolen in 2020. So I'm so sane, it's crazy. You guys know my background too. How do you run if you're not coming out saying you're, a born again Christian or you have some massive religious belief system? You guys can probably imagine where I'm coming from if I'm talking about Bigfoot and I'm not a big fan of Jesus and a grilled cheese. I was raised very religious. If you read any of my books, The Breach or Bigfoot is Complicated. I push back against that. And yeah, I know coming back after 5 weeks, I want to talk more about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I think it's that anger I feel compelled. It's not a calling. There is no voices telling me I need to run. There's no calling from heaven. That's ridiculous. Most people want the power. They don't have the talent to do anything else. I didn't enter Congress till I was 49, folks. See, January, so 2 months before my 49th birthday. And I couldn't believe it. I thought I was in some kind of romper room of insanity. And I think I've told you guys a story. My first actual argument was against Louis Gohmert, the dumbest member of Congress, who thought there was a one world algorithm controlling and suppressing all conservative voices on the globe. That was my first meeting in Congress. Was me the only guy standing up saying that's not a thing. It's impossible mathematically. You can't have a one world algorithm. Just like there's not 7 million people that have been abducted by the Greys. That's stupid. It's so ridiculous you can't even get your arms around it. And yet we have a massive belief system that mirrors Bigfoot, that mirrors alien subsystems and interdimensional beings. And there's all a baseline of this whole supernatural thing that's happening right now. Anyhow, boy, Denver ranting. Facts-based people have to run for office. The sane have to run for office. And it can't be people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? And it can't be people like Paul Gosar. And it can't be like the people in Virginia. It can't be like the crazy people that maybe are running in your state. So if somebody who really hates it as much as I do, and you guys know I do, I haven't run for anything again. I don't even know if I could stomach it, but now I have to. Do I run for governor in 29 in Virginia? Do I run for Senate? They're going to redistrict here in Virginia. Do I run for one of those seats? I can't go back in Congress, guys. I just can't. The legislative body in Congress is broken and unfixable. The two-party system is two corporate systems, and they hate each other, but they're also tribal, and they also like to work together and protect each other at the same time. I know I was there. And stop with this. If anybody says uniparty to me, I'm going to hit you with a squirt gun. It's not like that. It's stupid. Don't use that word. Use uniparty. I already know you believe in other nutty things. But I will tell you that the corruption runs deep in both parties. That corruption is based on how they choose people. And it's all about money. And that's the other thing. That means I have to come out, be independent. I might have to pick a side. I'll never pick Republican, though. I can't do it. I'm just not. The Republican Party left me so far behind. I just can't do it. They're insane. Now, there's Democrats that are insane. My God, I've been talking to some lately. But I will tell you this. There's a moderate part of the Democratic Party that I might be able to fit in. And when you go back and watch Marjorie Taylor Greene, there's no part of the Democratic Party she could fit in. I don't even know if there's no part of the old Republican Party she could fit in. But she is the embodiment of a grifter that had to change their mission. And it's the same people in the Bigfoot world who would change midstream when we proved that red eyes were actually blinking radio towers. Or when they tried to prove to me that Bigfoot could see an infrared. Or that he could manipulate his outer fur so you couldn't see his micron level on an infrared picture or infrared video. Well, I said, how about hyper or multispectral imagery? Right? How about motion? Yeah, I mean, you're right about Tom Cotton, right? And I'm seeing stuff pop up here as I go. Now, I know people are really starting to come on now, and I'm almost done because I told you guys I don't want to take a lot of your time. I don't want to be those guys that have 57 guests. You might, if I interview somebody, I'll say about interviewing my teenage nephew because he has thoughts. He has thoughts on what's happening to kids today, and some of the things he told me were incredible. They were insightful, and some we need to talk, right? Wouldn't you guys want to hear from a 15 or 16-year-old and what they're thinking about what's going on with Trump and everything like that, and how they want to vote when they turn 18? That's what I want you guys to hear. You know, real people. I'm not going to recycle the same people who do the other people's Substacks over and over again. I literally would rather eat my funny goat scream for stress relief thing that I've been pushing every time I see Marjorie Taylor Greene. So there you go. Or my handy dandy bullshit. Warning, warning, bullshit alert. I'd rather do that. But there are some people who want to come on, like Scott McFarland from CBS News. Good guy. I'd like to see him. Adam would come on, Kinzinger. I know Adam's a great guy, but he's everywhere. Nobody wants to hear Adam again. I love you, Adam. Who else? Who do you guys, what crazy thing would you want me to do? I mean, do you want me to go back in the woods and go live on a Denver After Dark from Olympic National Forest at 2:00 in the morning looking for Bigfoot with Gen 3 night vision? Do that. You want me to build a drone array? Maybe I get 10 or 11 drones with thermal to go up. Yeah, all these stupid shows do that, but I actually know how to do it. You grid it out. They have no idea what they're doing. If there's a Bigfoot out there, I'll find him. But he ain't. They don't exist. Maybe I'll put somebody in a suit out there so you guys get a kick. I just don't want anybody to get shot. Because I tell you, if I saw a real Bigfoot, woo, and he's coming at me and I'm armed, it's me or him. I'm dragging old Bigfooty out of the woods. So anyhow, Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's what you should actually think. You should scream in your head like a goat every time you see her. And you need not to fall for any type of these newsy people or any influencers or anybody saying, wow, she has more guts than everybody in the GOP. No, the people that had guts in the GOP were the ones who got attacked starting back in 2018, 2019. Probably the ones who were on the J6 committee. Maybe it's those people. Ukraine, NATO, EU, I know all of it. I mean, I don't know everything. That's Dunning-Kruger, right? If I knew everything. But if you want to talk EU, NATO, and Ukraine, I'm your Huckleberry. Talk Venezuela? Yeah. I'll tell you guys about the trip I went down to and almost had a freaking national incident with Panama. That's the question why the Chinese were running freaking fiber lines next to their railroads. You can have that. Not a great question to ask to the incoming government why the Chinese control their fiber. So thank you guys. Go watch the Leslie Stahl 60 Minutes interview and look at how that was conducted. Look at where they're going on CBS. Think about the Barry Weiss effect, the fact that CBS might not be the best place to go for news here in the short term, at least. There's great people who are probably going to leave that sinking ship. Those are the people I want to talk to. If you do have comments, you guys do know. And Doug, I don't remember. I have a Denver After Dark email. Did you guys know that? I can put that out on my Substack if you guys want to go look at it and send me emails about who you might want to see. I need to hear from you all, but I need you to spread the word because I ain't charging for this. I'm also not going to do commercials. I'm not going to have a gimmick. I mean, except for the sign, except for the dark side, right? And my use of the words £1,000,000 shit hammer from Hunter S. Thompson. But the fact is, I just want to be the guy who was like, you know what? I want to know the truth of it. I want to know the facts. What does Denver think? He's going to opine based on his left-right limits of what he knows. I'm not going to go out of, I'm not going to go outside my comfort zone. I'm not going to tell you, hey, Denver, could you tell us what's going on in Estonia yesterday? I heard something. I haven't been tracking Estonia, right? Or Lithuania. I haven't been tracking the Baltics. I haven't really been tracking the Balkans, which was when my degree was in the UVA, right? And by the way, the Balkans and the Baltics are different. I could have that whole beautiful thing. I had somebody the other day. Did you hear what Serbia is going on? What's going on in the Baltics? I'm like, well, not the Baltics. That's the Balkans. So we got geography lessons if you guys want. I can do whatever you want. So I don't know if you guys had any questions. It's a little bit hard for me to see the little the questions here, Doug. But let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Nope, I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ruin it on this phone. But if you guys have a question or two, I'm going to take about 3 or 4 minutes. If you don't, I'll just sign off. Guys, grifters always maneuver when they lose their monetary lifeline. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the people that you're seeing. Cowards, political cowards, are always going to maneuver when they can't answer the questions like Tom Cotton and things like that. So I want you guys to pay attention. I think you should go see that. Yeah, we could do great geography. You know, guys, in intelligence school, I had to memorize all 193 countries at the time, right? With supporting municipalities when I was in Intel school back in 98, when I was 28. I aced that test. Now, don't go back and ask me to, fill in all the countries in Africa today. I'm going to tell you guys to pound sand. I can name a lot of them, but I'm old, getting old. I need what? Prevagen. You know what, Doug? We should actually get Prevagen to actually sponsor us. I'm sure there's a lot of people who could do that. Brief update on Ukraine. Your take at any level. Sure. So I'll do this really quickly for everybody. So you guys knows I've been to Ukraine. There's Ukraine and there's my Ukraine. So been to Ukraine multiple times, going back in March. What's happening in Ukraine is a complete capitulation by the U.S. government to Putin. I don't know if you guys have read the new national security document. I think you should. It's one of the most horrific things you could actually read. But what I'm looking at Ukraine is that Ukraine is definitely going to need EU help. There's no way around it. Seize funds from Russia would be great. But right now, my biggest worry is that Ukraine is losing their advantage on the drone warfare front, especially when it comes to Russian fiber optic drones. Now, you guys are like, Dan, there's so many other things, right? There's air, there's ground, there's all these other type of things. But you guys need to look up fiber optic drones. I also need you to Google human safari, how the Russians actually train on civilians with their drones, if you could do that for me. But what you're seeing right now is I believe the attrition rate is starting to even out a bit. That is not good news for Ukraine. If they go 1-to-1 attrit, if there's one Ukrainian dying for every Russian dying, Ukrainian's done. Ukraine's done. They still need to keep that 3-to-1, right? Their drone warfare advantage really was helpful. Also, they're just a lot smarter than the Russians. Much more dynamic on the battle space, in the battlefield, in the battle space. I do know of new technologies that they're building on the AI front for drones that is pretty incredible. I'm not going to go into that here, but I can tell you that there's going to be other people coming to talk about that in the US. How about this? Doug, let's not forget. How about the next show? I know we want to talk about AI. How about we talk about the advancement in unmanned aerial vehicles and unmanned ground vehicle warfare? Maybe that's the next one I'll do for Denver After Dark. And we'll go into what's going on with Ukraine. And maybe I'll have a story about the first time I saw advanced tech that I didn't think could actually exist. So, guys, loved being here today. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Denver After Dark. And I always say it's going to get worse before it gets worse, but I have this little feeling based on what it's seen with polling and Donald Trump's absolute mental decline and his unforgivable sins with Putin, his support of Russia, and also the fact that he said the affordability crisis, I think he said was a hoax. I think you're seeing somebody who's in a mental decline on a level that can't be stopped. So now I'm going to say this, and I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but this is what the saint would say. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. So I'm out, guys. You guys have a great night. I will try to get that email out on Substack. Please email me. And damn it, I wish I could remember what it is. Gosh darn it. So anyway, Doug, I don't know if you're on here, if you want to pop on, but we'll figure that out and get that out to everybody. Guys, have a great night.
It's just
And
Denver
Doug,
After Dark. It's just Denver After Dark at Gmail.
is it Denver After Dark at gmail.com?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
everybody, if you got emails, it's Denver After Dark at gmail.com. Denver After Dark at gmail.com. Go there and say hi to me. And if you have some suggestions, I'll try to get to them. Spread the word. I'm never going to charge you guys. You're always going to have access to me. I'm just Denver and Denver After Dark with a sign from Etsy. Love you guys. See you later.